Good afternoon, everyone. I am Xinyi Qian from the Department of Prosthodontics, and allow me to show you my one-year PhD progress on implant placement, loading, and soft tissue management in the aesthetic zone. I'm currently a resident at the Department of Prosthodontics. My vision is to provide the best implant-prosthodontic treatment with the most time and cost-effective workflow with minimal patient discomfort to patients based on clinical and scientific evidence. And my mission towards achieving this is to implement the best implant-prosthodontic treatment for the anterior region into everyday practice. To achieve this, I currently have 3 ongoing projects investigating different interventions around the single implant. In my first project, we would like to compare different implant placement and loading protocols, comparing their effects on single maxillary implants in the aesthetic zone. Currently, there are 12 implant placement and loading protocols. On this table, you can see marked with red numbers the timing of implant placement into the alveolar bone after the tooth extraction, and the dark blue letters indicate the timing of prosthetic rehabilitation after this implantation. The larger the number or the letters mean the later this rehabilitation happens. And conventionally, implant treatment used to follow the type 4C, that is late placement and loading protocol. But patients prefer the restoration of missing anterior teeth as soon as possible. And also the buccal bone in the anterior region is thinner and resorbs faster. Therefore, immediate or early treatments become more and more favored. And we would like to investigate how exactly the different timings of implant placement and loading would affect hard and soft tissue outcomes, comparing all the available 12 types of placement and loading protocols with a network meta-analysis. After a systematic search in English and Chinese databases, we have identified altogether 43 articles. We managed to do a network meta-analysis for most of our outcomes, but for implant survival, due to the very low number of implant failure rates, a network meta-analysis was not feasible. Therefore, we decided to conduct a proportional meta-analysis. And due to the shortness of time, I will only be showing you the results of pink aesthetic scores, which is very important in the anterior region. This is a 14-point scale comparing 7 different parameters around the implant, around the soft tissues. And for each parameter, a 0 to maximum of 2 points can be given. The larger the number, the better the score. Here we could compare 22 studies with more than 1,600 patients. And we found that the 1A, that is immediate implant placement and loading, performs best in this regard, followed by the early placement with either immediate loading or delayed loading, as shown by the Sukra values, which is a number from 0 to 100. The larger the number means the higher probability of that protocol ranking one of the best. And if you're the visual type, you can also look at this rank diagram, where the lighter color means better ranking. You can also look at this league plot showing mean differences with 95% credible interval and ranking each protocol from best to worst, starting from the top right corner. And we look at the first row, comparing all protocol to the best 1A protocol. We can see in the brackets with the asterisks that these protocols are statistically significantly worse than the 1A protocol. And if we set the threshold for clinical significance at 1, then the 4C protocol performs significantly worse in the clinic. We may conclude that all protocols provide good implant survival and marginal bone preservation. However, 1A performs significantly better in terms of aesthetics and also has a tendency to rank high in other aspects. If we investigate the same placement, we see that immediate loading is generally more favorable than delayed loading. Therefore, we advise the application of immediate placement with immediate loading. And if immediate placement is not achievable, then we would advise to apply at least if immediate placement is not available, then we advise the application of at least immediate loading with late placement. However, we still need more randomized control trials with longer follow-up in order to reach stronger evidence. By far, this is the first and only network meta-analysis. We included only randomized control trials from both English and Chinese databases that allowed us to analyze several protocols that previous meta-analysis could not, and we also analyzed soft tissue and aesthetic results. Unfortunately, due to the still low number of studies and missing data, we could not conduct analysis for some of the protocols, and we also had weak networks and evidence for some outcomes. Neither did we have any long-term results. Currently, the manuscript is under plagiarism check. In my second project, we would like to compare anatomic versus non-anatomic healing abutments. Conventionally, a non-anatomic round healing abutment was used for soft tissue healing, which causes a discrepancy with the later anatomical prosthetic rehabilitation. Therefore, the rehabilitation process may be lengthy and painful for the patient. However, its advantage is that it's very easy to use. On the other hand, anatomic healing abutments or provisional crowns allow a one-step anatomical formation of the soft tissue, which will require much less adjustments and will be less painful for the patients later on. However, it can only be achieved with a pre-surgical backward planning, which requires much more effort and time from the doctor's side. We would like to compare both the anatomical healing abutment and the provisional crown to the non-anatomical stock healing abutment in patients with non-adjacent single tooth replacement with immediate implantation only, because that is where the original soft tissue, natural soft tissue profile may be preserved. We would like to compare marginal bone losses, soft tissue parameters, aesthetic results, as well as patient-reported outcomes. After a systematic search, I have identified 22 eligible articles, and I would like to finish the data extraction by this week. Again, you can see an overview of my 3 ongoing projects. The third project is also related to my second project, investigating how we can copy this well-designed soft tissue profile onto the final restoration in order to maintain soft tissue health. I would like to thank your attention with a quote from the Greek poet Hesiod, "But before the road of excellence, the immortal gods have placed sweat." Thank you.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I would like to ask about your third topic. What is it about, and how does it stand in the study?
Yes, I only briefly mentioned it. So, as I mentioned, we need to create an anatomical soft tissue profile because the soft tissue health is very important for protecting the implant from bacterial invasion and a mechanical invasion. And usually we can form the soft tissue with either a healing abutment or a provisional crown. And after we form the soft tissue, we need to copy this correct design onto the final restoration. And we would like to see conventionally the copying method use the elastic impression materials, and newly there are digital technologies and digital methods, and we would like to investigate whether these new technologies are as accurate as the conventional technology and whether they can replace the original technology.
Short question. I don't know whether you try to compare the English literature or data from English literature with those from Chinese literature, yes or no?
Statistically, we did not compare them separately or to each other, but just looking at the numbers and discussing the numbers, it seems that they actually are similar. So there is no difference due to population or methodologies.
Mm-hmm. Looks like that we think in the same way with Dr. Gemberry, because I wanted to ask the same thing. I mean, but that's important. Then, I mean, the background of this So there was a really good scientific question at the beginning, but it appeared that there was not sufficient data, sufficient quantity of data from the European papers or English language papers. And then that was the point, actually. Then they went to the Chinese literature, and of course that's a big advantage. But this is also important, to state this, as you said, although you cannot do that quantitatively, but you can do that qualitatively, that actually these are quite similar, if I understand.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.